Welcome to Lickin' on Lending, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of the mortgage industry. Your host, David Lickin, bringing you the latest insights, trends, and updates from the world of mortgages. Whether you're a seasoned industry veteran or just getting started, this show is your go-to source for all things mortgage. Let's get started. This is Lickin' on Lending. Now your host, David Lickin.
Listeners, we got another podcast with another great interview. We've got Garrett Maroon joining us. He is a husband and father of 5, real estate entrepreneur who's been proving that you can build a thriving business without sacrificing what matters most. And we're talking about family and the values that we share. He is the founder of The Faithful Agent and the 210 Collective. We got to hear about that, Garrett. And he has also built a 100% referral business that's sold more than 650 homes. Again, he is a realtor, and I'm so excited to have realtors on this podcast because mostly lenders. We get a chance to talk to someone that is our target market. He's done it without a single cold call or a paid ad. 650 homes sold without a single cold call or an ad. We're going to learn more about this. Now his mission is to help other agents do the same, build businesses that serve both their clients and their calling. I want to get into that through his podcast, The Faithful Agent, and his upcoming book, The Balanced Breakthrough. Can't wait to get a copy of that. Garrett equips faith-driven entrepreneurs to pursue success that doesn't cost them their soul, their marriage, and their family dinner table. Garrett, I love what you stand for in so many ways. I've enjoyed getting to know you and so grateful to this opportunity to interview you, share your story.
Feeling is mutual, brother.
We're going to be sharing this on around the holidays, and which is based on faith. Most of my listeners know I'm a faith-based man, and I have a strong faith in the Lord. And the Christmas holidays are so special. So when I get a chance to talk to someone who shares the faith with me and do so over the holidays, it's just a little extra special for me. Yeah. So tell us a little about your story and how you got to where you're at today.
Yeah. No, so thanks for having me, brother. Excited to be here with you, certainly, and it's been a mutual joy to get to know you as well. Yeah, I'm married, 5 little kids. The oldest is 8, the youngest is 4 months, so I haven't slept in a very long time, David. We were talking about that pre-show, but it's the greatest thing ever. I got into real estate about 11 and a half years ago. I was in higher education. I was an assistant director of admission, and my wife said, hey, I think you'd be good at real estate. And oh, by the way, higher ed is not enough money for us to have kids and me stay home. So I said, okay. And I jumped into real estate, had many struggles early on. Yeah. And our wives have much more intuition than we do. And so I tend to try to just listen to what she thinks. And if I do, it typically goes well. And if I don't, it doesn't. But so I jumped into real estate, David. I did all the classes on cold calling, door knocking, all those things, open houses. And it just, none of it made sense to me. I didn't want to build a business that way. I was pretty stubborn. I was only 27, but I was pretty stubborn. I just wanted to build a business by relationship. I thought that if my business was going to succeed at a high level in 5 years from now, if my business was working really well, but it was built on cold calling or door knocking or open houses, I wouldn't even want that business. So I just made a commitment to say, if it's going to work, it's got to be by referral. And the rest is history, I guess. I had a lot of struggles early on. Once I figured it out, it just started building very quickly from there. And it's been an incredible journey, brother. It really has. I love this industry and the blessing that it's been to me and my family.
You think about it, I would say you're a success. 650 homes sold, all without a single cold call or a paid ad. That is, I love Joe Stump's material. I'm getting back and reconnecting with him. He has a thing called by referral only. It's something that if we do a good job of connecting with people, building relationships, our business should be referral. That's all. That's what I get. Every bit of my business is referral as a result of this podcast and other things. It's people get to know you and they want to do business with you. That's right. In your experience, what was the turning point where most entrepreneurs realize their business is winning, but their life is losing? You had that experience at one point.
Yeah. So I think the typical lender and agent experience, right? You get in the business and it's, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to hit 6 figures, right? That's the first benchmark. And so we don't really think about systems. We're not thinking about what's the right thing to do. We're just willing to do anything and everything to try to hit that benchmark. Well, I was that way. I was only doing referral, but I was working a lot of hours when it hit me, David. So in April of 2016, I started on a real estate team in 2014, left in March of 2016, started my own team. And so hired an admin, hired an agent, did all that right away. The next month, my wife's father, so my father-in-law, went in for triple bypass surgery and ended up in the hospital for the next 2.5 years before he passed. So my wife had to quit her job, and she went and essentially stayed with him to take care of him. And so now all of a sudden she was no income and I had significantly more expenses. So all of a sudden it was all on me. And so it put a fire under me. The year was going pretty well at that point. This is again 2016. The moment for me, David, I remember my wife is home. This is in June of 2016. My wife is home, which was rare for us. And so dinner wasn't popcorn and peanut butter, right? Like it was an actual dinner because the responsible party was home. And we're sitting outside, David. I had spent an entire day business planning, trying to reconnect with what am I doing? I was just hustling. And we pray, I open my eyes, and I just start sharing with my wife, here's all the things I'd figured out today. And essentially it came down to, okay, babe, I think I can sell 50 homes a year. It's just going to take me 60 or 70 hours a week. That was the trade-off. But look what we can accomplish. Then she said absolutely nothing, right? So I tell her this story. I'm passionate about it. We can sell 50 homes. And I say, what do you think, babe? She says nothing. So it's like, all right, do you need me to say that again? I don't understand. Did you miss all of that? And she said, look, I love that. I want you to sell 50 homes, but I need you to figure out how to do it in under 40 hours a week. That moment for me literally changed everything. A few months later, we got pregnant with our first kid. But it was my wife who absolutely has the right to ask that of me. Yes. And so it set me on this path, David, to say, okay, how in the world can I sell 50 homes a year in under 40 hours a week? Because I want to honor my marriage. I want to honor, hopefully, my future family. And I need to figure this out. And just hustling is not good enough. There's got to be a better way. And so it was that question that literally forced me into a better answer. And I'm so grateful for that. So that was really the turning point.
Sometimes it's the questions we get asked that bring about the biggest examinations. And I just challenge anyone listening to this. Are you getting asked the right questions? Are you happy with the results of what you're doing in your life? Or are you getting asked the right questions? Some great ways. So your wife asked you the right questions. You started examining it, and then you started making some adjustments.
Yeah. I think going back to the questions, I had a couple weeks ago on a podcast, David, the host asked me, how would you tell a real estate agent how to sell 30 homes this year? If they ask you, how do I sell 30 homes this year? A mortgage lender, write 100 mortgages, whatever the scenario is. And I said, I think that's a terrible question, to be honest, because I would say work 120 hours a week, spend 100 grand, you'll find your way to 30 deals, right? That's not the right question. I think what you mean is, right, the better question is, how do I sell 30 homes this year while not missing family dinner and being home on Sundays? Whatever your scenario is, if we ask a better question, it forces us to come up with a better solution. I think the problem in the industry as a whole in real estate, lending, agents, right, all the subsidiary departments that are involved with this, the problem is we ask bad questions. It's only about how do I make X amount of dollars? How do I sell X amount of homes, right? How do I write X amount of loans? Instead of, I think your life matters in there too. So what if your question was, how do I make 100K, make sure I still take my wife on a date every week and take 4 weeks off to spend with my family on vacation? Whatever your scenario is, when we ask a better question, it causes us to create a better solution. And I think we're just asking poor questions in this industry.
Yeah, that's it. Questions challenge us to re-examine. And I think that's what this season is about. A lot of us wait till we get the New Year's, we start journaling about we set goals and things like that. Challenge yourself to ask the right questions. How do you practically protect your time and energy? So much of it is time and energy so that your family gets the best of you.
Yeah. I wish I knew how, David. If you know how, please tell me that. Yeah, I think so. From a time protection, that's definitely easier than an energy protection. There's no doubt about it. What I would say is twofold. So what I've tried to do, and I'm in no way perfect, I'm learning this too, but from a time protection, so I do shut off my phone at 5 p.m. and I put it in what's called an RO box on Saturdays and Sundays, so I don't even have it.
What's an RO box?
So an ARO. And now the company,
ARO.
Yeah, sorry. So the company might have changed names, and I don't know. It just measures how much time your phone is away. And so it actually tells you how much time your phone's been away from you. And that's been really helpful for me, especially with little kids. I want them to know that daddy's not just there sitting on my phone.
Wow.
And so I put the phone away. So that definitely helps. But from an energy perspective, I try. So in the book, I even talk about doing a time audit, sure, but an energy audit, right? So what things actually motivate you? What, like being on a podcast, I'm sure the same with you, David. When I do a podcast, I could be tired. It doesn't matter. I'm going to show up because it's exciting. Yeah. If I have to be on a Zoom call with a bunch of other agents, depending on the scenario, it might wear me out. It's not going to be energizing. And so depending on the scenario, so I try to backload the things in my day that are going to energize me, as opposed to if I do my own podcast early in the morning and I do all the fun things early in the morning, but in the afternoon, it's all the things that drain me. Well, when I shut off my phone at 5 p.m., I'm going to show up to my family totally drained because everything I just did wore me out.
Yeah, what good are you doing when you're drained?
Exactly. So I try to stack towards the end of the day. My podcast, we record Mondays, is the last thing that we do. And so because it's the last thing that we do, when I get off, I'm fired up no matter what. And so it brings me that energy, that momentum going into my family. So again, I'm not perfect at it, but I do try to backload the activities knowing what they're going to do to my energy, and so I can show up better.
Yeah. And it's interesting you bring that up because I never realized that you and I both have an energy for doing podcasts. I love this. I can be exhausted, but I show on, the camera goes on, the lights go on.
So true.
We go live, and something just starts awakening into us. Patrick Lencioni has the 6 working geniuses. Anyone who listens to this podcast any amount of time knows what it is. Find the things that bring you life, and they can be any one of the 6 things in the 6 working geniuses. Find those things that bring you life and do those, which is interesting. Haven't thought about doing those at the end of the day so that you do end up, start off, and it goes into the rocks. You know what? We talk about the big rocks. What are the things we would knock out first of the day? Some of those are the more things that can be a time suck or energy suck on us. And so if we knock those out early in the day, we start saving up the things that bring us energy at the end of the day. It's a great way. I never thought about it quite like that.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't work every time, but sometimes I still fall asleep on the couch, David. I'm a human, but it does bring me energy. And I even started, a quick side note, a podcast with my 2 oldest kids, 8 and 6. So nature-loving kids.
Oh, you're doing a podcast with
your
kids?
Go check it out. Nature-loving kids. It's 7 minutes long. But I do that on Tuesdays at the end of the day because they come upstairs at 5 o'clock. We record. I'm fired up. It's so much fun. I get to do it with them. And then I go downstairs to my wife and the other kids, and I'm excited. I'm energized. So I do think that if we backload, or wherever your energy is, but backload the things right before, what's the most important thing for me to do? It's to show up as a husband and a dad. I want to show up well for my work too, right? But I have to show up well for them. So you backload those things that are going to fire you up and bring you momentum into family time. It does really help.
So many agents say it's just a busy season. I've heard it said, yeah, Dave, the problem is your season is 24/7, 360 days a week. These busy seasons can get elongated. How do you recognize when business is becoming a lifestyle, and how do you self-correct or course correct in that situation?
That's such a good question. It definitely... We get into seasons where we just say, I'm just striving for a season. It's just, like you said, it's just busy. It's just busy. But I think if we're honest with ourselves, and I had this realization, if we're honest with ourselves, that season never actually ends. We get used to the hustle. We get used to the grind.
Yes,
and so we think this is just how it's supposed to be. So I would say 2 things. I think first and foremost, you have to intentionally build out what I call your scoreboard. So how are we keeping score, right? How are we measuring success? Is it just about how much money am I going to make? Or I'm looking at mine right there. It's got a profit goal. Sure it does, but it has a wife goal. So 2 day dates a month, and it has a family goal, take every 7th week off. And so now I have a new way to keep score. Did I win or did I lose? Did I hit my profit goal? Sure. But if I hit that without hitting my family goal, that's not a win, right? If I got 1 out of 3. And so I think we've got to redefine success first and foremost to create boundaries around ourselves. But then 2, we need to go tell those people in our lives who are willing to hold us accountable. That could be a coach. It could be a spouse, right? I ask my wife often, hey, do you feel like I'm working too much? And even if I'm not working, do you feel like I'm mentally present where I am with you, with the kids, whatever the scenario is? And so we need honest feedback, right? We need those feedback loops in our lives to say, okay, yeah, I can set out a goal. That's fine. Come March, I've already forgotten the goal and I'm just falling right back into the same trap. And so I think that you need to be clear about what your intentionality is. What does success look like? But then you need to go find those people in your life who will actually hold you accountable. And the amazing secret is they want accountability too. So what if you define success and they define success and you say, hey, once a month, can we just sit down or get on a Zoom call, whatever, and just say for 30 minutes, hey, How are you doing on that scoreboard? And I think just that course correction consistently is what's going to get us there.
Which really gets into discipline on boundaries and help create margin in our calendars. How do you do this? Is it time blocking? But there's sometimes when you have the demands of a buyer that wants to buy a house. If you're selling a house, how do you run that balance?
Yeah. And I feel, honestly, for lenders, like the lender that we use often, I tell her all the time, I don't know how she does it, because agents who have terrible balance, right, expect their lender to show up and be there. And that's really hard. And so I think first and foremost, it's the same for me, right? I'm just on the consumer facing side. So when I sit down with a client, I'm just super honest with them. Hey, here's my hours, right? I'm available to you from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, Saturday by appointment, and not on Sundays unless we're actively negotiating. And if anybody has a weirdness to that, which honestly they don't, you go to Disney World, you wait in line for an hour. Why? Because that's how it is. When you call the doctor's office and you don't say, I need to see the doctor, I'm coming at 8 p.m. tonight, tell him to be there, right? Tell her to be there. That's not how it works. In almost every industry in the world, they have hours. And when you need to see them, you go within their office hours. That's how it works. So I think the first challenge for any lender, any agent is, are you creating enough value, and are you showing yourself as valuable? Are you the surgeon, the specialist, or are you urgent care, where it's just come whenever? And so, right, but we've got to create enough value. So when I'm sitting down with someone, and one of the values of working by referral and building your business that way is, when I sit down with them and I say, these are my hours, right? They might say, oh, okay, that works, right? I've never had anyone have a problem with it. And I'll just say, yeah, when we want to go see homes, I'll let you know when I'm free. So maybe it's Tuesday, 2 to 5, or Thursday 1 to 4, what works better for you? When we have that value, you'll wait for that person, right? You'll wait for the surgeon. The surgeon they're backed up for 3 months, don't matter. You're the best one. I need to come see you. When you're just a commodity and nobody thinks you have any value, it doesn't matter. You better be available 24/7.
If you don't value yourself and you don't value your time, they're not going to value you.
That's right. 100%. And I've fired 2 clients in my life, right? In 11 and a half years, I fired 2 clients because they wouldn't respect the boundaries and they didn't like them. And so I literally said to them, hey, I totally appreciate where you guys are coming from. I'm not the right agent for you because I do protect my boundaries. And if you want an agent that's going to be available 24/7 or at night or whatever it is that you need, then absolutely, please, I can even introduce you to some. We're just not a good fit anymore. And so there's scenarios like that. And for a lender, I would encourage them to say, you build out what kind of life you want, and then go find those agents that are going to honor that. And so it really is. And I love what you said, David. If I respect myself, if I hold myself to be the surgeon, not the urgent care, and say the surgeon is available here, right? And you go find the agents that honor and respect that, and you build together, it's going to be a great relationship.
That's so good. If you could go back and talk to your younger self when your career was just starting, what advice would you give yourself?
Don't do it. No, do something else. No,
I think that's a common statement by a lot of parents.
Sure.
Well, whatever you don't do what I'm doing. My dad told me that.
That's awesome.
And he struggled with work-life balance. Guess what? Got passed on to me. I really struggled with it for the longest time as well.
Yeah. I think, so for me, I would say first and foremost, give yourself a lot of grace. Because you're going to fail a lot.
What does grace mean? When you say give yourself a lot of grace, that can be a spiritual term a lot of people don't understand. What's a definition around that context?
Yeah, great question. Grace from a spiritual perspective, right, is the Lord not giving us what we've earned, right? Yeah. So because we have sinned and what we've deserved, we don't want that. And so in his kindness, we don't give that. But in this context, it's the reality of you allow yourself to fail and you don't beat yourself up for it, right? Yeah. Because what I didn't expect was, I worked a W-2. So in a W-2, if you just made mistake after mistake, what happened? You get fired. And so you're used to that as, well, I need to do everything right or I'm going to lose my job. In the business world, the best people are the ones that have failed the most often. They just kept going, right? Yeah. When you have this infinite runway, or Charles Kettering is an author. One of my favorite quotes ever. He said, the only time you can't afford to fail is the last time you try. And so what took me so long, David, to realize when I got into this business, when I got into this business was it is about failure. You're going to fail forward. We've all heard that. But when you fail, give yourself grace, get back on the horse and keep going. That's what success actually looks like. It's not that I did it and then it's I failed and I kept going and I failed and I kept going. So I beat myself up a lot early on because I was making a lot of mistakes and I didn't know that was part of this process.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about there is self-talk. A lot of it's those, we understand from as spiritual beings, there's an enemy that very much talks to us. I think and the best enemy talk is the talk that makes it sound like it's us, our own voice. Garrett, you just did that. You just messed up. You can't ever get this right, Garrett.
Yeah.
How did you overcome that negative, what sounded like, quote, air quotes, self-talk, which I think many would do well to examine the source of that, but that's a whole other topic.
Sure. Yeah. Again, a great question. I'm still working on it, right? Those things still pop in, but it is, yeah. So from a spiritual perspective, because I'm a follower of Jesus, I can't not be that. It's not a backpack I take on and off, right? That is who I am. And so from our perspective, right, and the reality is when I start having those thoughts, I have to look to say, what does the Bible say about who I am and whose I am? And so I have to explore, what is my identity actually? Right. And when I understand what my identity is, when I start to say, Garrett, you just screw up all the time, all these things, you beat yourself up, say, hey, but there's grace and the Lord loves you and there's kindness in that and it's working towards something. It's for your good. You have to remind yourself of those things. I think for anyone else, if you don't follow our faith tradition, right, you still have to stop and say, look, all these things that you're thinking about yourself, number one, if you said that to anybody else, they would never be your friend again, ever. Right. If you just told those same things. And so I think
That's a great point. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
If I said things, if we regurgitated the things that we let into our own heads as accusations, that negative talk, and we turned around and spoke those out to some friend of ours, how long would they be a friend?
Not very long.
Great thought.
I don't want to be friends with you anymore, David. Yeah. And we have to recognize that first, I think. And then number two, we just have to replace it, right? Again, for me, the identity in Christ, but we have to replace it with what is true and change the language, right? The language matters. So Garrett, you fail all the time. No, the language is, Garrett, you fail sometimes. Sometimes you succeed, right? Failure is a great teacher. Whatever the scenario is, we become all or nothing when we have self-talk. Garrett, you do this all the time, or you mess up this all the time, or me, I get off my eating plan all the time, right? Which is true. But if I just say, look, I have a flat tire, I'm not going to total the car, and I start to shift the way I think about it, it's Garrett, you get off your meal plan sometimes. Hey, you know what? But here's the blessing. You have the opportunity to get right back on it. We've got to change the language around it and be specific with that language. And I think it's going to start to allow us to have more grace with ourselves, but also move forward in a good direction.
I've had the privilege of listening to your podcast. There's some great content. You just listen to you and how articulate you are. It is really good.
I appreciate it.
Who should be listening to your podcast and why?
Yeah, my own wife doesn't listen, David, so I'm amazed that anybody does. No, so it's for Christians in the real estate space, lenders, real estate agents, anybody that would identify with that. What I saw was, so my mom passed away in October 2022, and after that experience, I spent the next 3 months just asking the Lord, who do you want me to serve? There's got to be something bigger than just, I have a really good real estate business. That's cool. And it became Christians in real estate, and so we just went all in for them and realized no one was really talking to that community of agents. And so it's anyone that would say, hey, I'm a Christian and I identify with that and I'm in the real estate space. I think they'll be encouraged by it.
Yeah. I think anyone who's even interested in faith
Sure.
It should also listen. And I think, first of all, I think anyone should listen to it because there's a great principles.
Yeah,
I have several clients say, Dave, I respect the fact that you have a strong faith, but that's just not for me. And I go, cool, but
it's okay.
I'm not going to change up the consulting and the executive coaching that I do for that. I may try to to use language that still communicates the principles without being in their face with some of that stuff. So I think it's really important. But the fact that people should listen to this, I'm going to say everyone should listen to this because the content's so solid. Your principles by which you operate are so solid. That scoreboard that you use, and you're helping people establish a scoreboard and having the right scoreboard. And it's not money. I always say money is a result of doing everything on the scoreboard. That is a result, and so much of that. How can people get the copy of the book? I can't wait. This book, The Balanced Breakthrough, is it published now?
Yeah, it actually is out now. So they can grab it anywhere, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. And what I want to do, David, because I've just so much appreciated you, I want to give them the audiobook free. So it doesn't even come out for at the time this drops. It won't even come out till mid to late February, but I want to give it to your audience free. So if they just go to garrettmaroon.com/free gift, they can go get it. We put it on there just for your audience. They can go grab it, start listening to it now. Of course, I'd love them to buy the book. We give out freebies if they buy the book. I care more about the message. And for me, it's restoring the real estate, the lender family. Right? Like we've made too many sacrifices. We've missed too many family dinners. We've made too many trade-offs that we wish we didn't, that we don't have to. And I care more about that than you going and buying the book. Of course, go buy it. But go to GarrettMaroon.com/free gift for your audience. They can get the audiobook totally free. And over the holidays, I hope it's a blessing as they try to figure out what's next for them in 2026.
Be a great gift for anyone who's in the real estate business. Loan officers, if you're looking for a great book to give as a gift out to your real estate community, buy the book and give it out. It's not too late. You can get it from all the sources.
Yeah.
Garrett, thank you so much for establishing a good friendship with me, brother. And I'm just so excited to get to know you better and have you back. I love listening to your podcast. I'm already addicted to it because of the energy you bring into it. So keep it up. I got to go listen to your wife. What's the podcast with your kids?
So it's called Nature Loving Kids. Yeah, it's 7. It's way better than my podcast, David. Nature Loving Kids. Yeah, go check it out. My kids love it too, so leave a 5-star review. Tell them where you're from. My kids think it's so cool that there's someone listening in Germany. They tell all their friends. It has been a joy, brother. It's been a joy.
I appreciate you so much. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Blessings Christmas to you. You're going to be blessed. I'm going to continue to watch your success. Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you, brother.
I want to say a special thank you to our sponsors for making this podcast possible. Byte Software, First Close, Angel AI, True, Candid, the Mortgage Bankers Association of America, Lenders One, Modex, Redder, Mortgage Advisory Tools, and Fuel Inc. We appreciate you. Happy holidays, listeners. We appreciate you, and thank you for being a listener of this podcast. Share it with others. It's a great message, and listen to Garrett's podcast. Thank you.
You've been listening to Lykken on Lending. Our passion is to bring you the latest insights, trends, and updates from the world of mortgages. So on this show, if you're a seasoned industry veteran or just getting started, it's your go-to source for all things mortgage. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back soon. Take care, and we'll see you next time on Lykken on Lending.